Hey guys, it's CarGuy11. Welcome to another live stream on this day before Valentine's Day. I figured I'd do something a little special. We're going to talk about engines you love, and I have a few stories tonight about some new engines, so that's going to be exciting. But before we get going here, just a reminder, this is available on podcast if you search for CarGuy11 on iTunes, and you can listen to it back. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you're notified of these live streams so you can participate. And I encourage participation, and definitely chime in if you're watching. We already got CarGuy11. How's it going? And Matt Risenthal's in. Thanks for joining us, Matt. And he already chimed in with 2JZ. Yeah, classic engine that everyone loves to modify in the previous generation Supra. So yeah, we can certainly talk about those. I'm going to start off with some new engine stories, and we can go from there. Hey, Applejacks, just got here. Let the party begin. Yep, for sure. Thanks for joining us tonight. I think it works better on Wednesday nights. I did the last stream last week on Friday night because of the Chicago Auto Show. Good participation, but I think we missed a few people on there. But if you're new, definitely say hi, and tell us where you're watching from too. That's always interesting too. So Zach's back. Thanks for joining us, Zach. Yeah, C606 LS7, awesome engine, large displacement, high revving, 7,000 RPM, and we're gonna actually talk about the new GM engine tonight. And yeah, that was a classic, very one that'll always be valuable, I think, and the C606 will hold its value because of that engine. Steve, hey Steve, any Chevy gas? Yeah, any Chevy gas engine. Well, the small blocks are classic, but there's so many of them, so they're cheap to buy, and but they're great engines. So yeah, so let's get started with some of the news stories regarding engines this week. And the first one is BMW. They just pulled the wraps off of 2020 X3 and X4 M models. And these are significant because, number one, the power they're getting out of a straight 6 turbo engine. There's actually two versions. There's going to be the regular M with 473 horsepower. That's going to be a single turbo with the dual scroll, twin scroll turbo, single turbo. And then there's going to be a competition version making 503 horsepower, and that one is a twin turbo. So tons of power out of this 3-liter straight 6. And then you guys probably think it's from the current M4 and M3, but no, it's actually a brand new engine. It is the B58, which is in the current M40i and things like that, and it's only 355 horsepower currently, but they tweaked it, like I said, and huge power gains off of these, and very surprising they didn't go with that M3 and M4, but they're actually talking about these could be the next M3 and M4 engines. So interesting to see that. Matt says, if anyone cares, Oilers are beating the Penguins 1-0. Pens will come back. But anyway, Autonut's not on. It doesn't look like, but he has a BMW X5 with the turbos 6-cylinder. So wonder what his thoughts are on that. The next one though, oh, there's Autonut. So I don't know if you saw that, Autonut, but yeah, these are pushing some serious horsepower out of that 3-liter turbo. It does not say the pressure they're using, but and they're high revving, 7,300 RPM with the turbo. That's pretty damn high. Of course, they're going to be paired up with the ZF8 Speed Auto. But okay, Zach says new Cayman GT4 allegedly with an H6. Yes, I am super looking forward to that car coming out. I'm hoping for Geneva, which is next month in March, but actually I'm hearing that it's not going to be shown there now. But yes, also hoping that it's the 4-liter H6 that's in the GT3 911, but there were reports that they're going to reuse the 3.8-liter that was in the last GT4. And yes, it is. It's going to be NA, so just like the GT3. It's probably going to be the last NA version of any Porsche. Maybe the GT3 will keep it, but as you know, the 718 Caymans and Boxers are turbo 4-cylinders, and the 911s are turbo 6s right now. So if it comes out with the 4-liter naturally aspirated 6, I am really looking to pick one up. I think it would be awesome I know it's going to be expensive, but I think it would be something that would hold its value. I would love to do the European delivery and that whole process. So we'll see. We'll see. And I know it's going to be very difficult to get. So we'll see. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. But anyway, so the next one I wanted to talk about is actually another SUV, but it's the new Range Rover Sport HST, which comes with a brand new engine, and this is a new inline 6-cylinder, and it's based off the 2-liter 4 that they have, the turbo and the supercharged turbo, the same engine family. First of all, it's good to see new gasoline engines coming on market, and to be honest, these are probably the last generations of the gasoline engine. I mean, unfortunately, everything's going electric, and we're definitely going to be seeing less and less new engines. So it's exciting to see. This is probably the pinnacle of gasoline engines in power, efficiency. So yeah, so this is an exciting time, but it's also sad to see them go. But for this engine, it is actually going to have some electric on it. So it's going to feature a 48-volt electrical system that will gather energy during braking. Actually, BMWs do this already. They've been doing it for years. So again, Autonut, you probably know that and see that in your dash display, that it charges the electrical system when you're coasting and things like that. But a very interesting thing here, it has a electric supercharger that spools up to 65,000 RPM. Now, this is in addition to a normal turbocharger. So they use these very complicated powertrains. Again, a supercharger and a turbo. And it's just fascinating. Now, this is the first time I've seen the electric supercharger. So this is purely driven off a motor, not the engine, and then the turbos kick in after that. So this is right from a stop, right from a start when you're stopped, and also that 48-volt system is going to do that auto start stop and everything like that. But they're saying it it is 20% fuel economy gain over the previous supercharged V6. So this is going to have 395 horsepower and 405 pound-feet of torque, which again is pretty strong for an inline six. And unfortunately, no V8 in this one, but again, it's pretty strong power out of this six-cylinder. So what do you guys think of that one? I'll get to some comments here. Zach says European delivery is an awesome experience. I did that for my 2012 BMW wagon. Oh, very cool, very cool. I bought a Audi 2009 Audi and I didn't do it. And I really want to do that because I hear they're really canceling that program. In fact, I think Porsche may be the only one doing it still. So hopefully they still offer that. I think Audi quit doing it. Hey, Dave. He's from Aliquippa. Thanks for joining us, Dave. Regardless of Range Rover's new powertrain, the reliability is their biggest issue. Yeah, true. I think they've come a far way. They've improved their reliability, but I think they have ways to go. And I would be worried, especially this first model year with this brand new engine, with all the turbos and the electrical supercharger. There's a lot to go wrong there. Audinut says, yeah, you can feel it pretty seamlessly. He's talking about the regen system of the BMWs. Dave says Car and Driver and Consumer Reports are the opposite ends of the spectrum, and both agree that you'll get to know your dealer very well. Unfortunately, I have to say I've owned Japanese, I've owned American, I've owned German. I mean, if you're picky about your car, if you pay attention, you're going to visit the dealer. I've used my warranty on every car I've owned extensively, and yeah, so I can't say one's better than the other. Now, if you go to Camry or the very mainstream, very proven technology, I think yeah, you're going to do better. But for a powerful engine or something smaller volume, something that's just doesn't have the proven new stuff with new technology is going to fail more. So, and I usually get first or second model year stuff like that. So I kind of fall into that. I'm a new car guy. I like having the latest and greatest. So I expect that, and it really doesn't bother me too much. I kind of, as long as they give me a loaner, as long as they treat me well, I'm okay with it. I understand the issues of a early model year vehicle. Audinut says, I love the dual usage design of a turbo and a supercharger. I think we will see many more designs like that and electrified versions of turbo superchargers. Yeah, I think the electrical part of a turbo and supercharger can only withstand the low RPMs, like starting off the line. I think it takes too much power if you're using it for higher RPM. So that's why they have dual. So they'll have the electric and then they'll have the mechanical. And it makes sense, because why waste that energy? The turbo's using exhaust gas to power itself. So why waste it by just having an electric turbo? the supercharger's going to be um, that's going to need a lot of power as well if it's an electric supercharger. If it's a large, for high RPM. Small, low RPM, you don't need that much boost, so you can either spin a smaller supercharger or just not spin it as fast. So yeah. So Autonet says electric assist, he meant. Yeah. So probably starts off electric and then yeah, kicks in the mechanical higher RPM. And it's kind of, in a way, FCA is doing that with the new Ram and also the Wrangler. They have the electric motor assist that kicks in on start from a stop, and it fills in turbo lag. Like, they don't have electric turbo charger, but they have a mechanical turbocharger, but they have that electric motor that assists, so you don't feel that turbo lag. So yeah, they're all kind of doing that, and that FCA uses a 48-volt system for that as well. So Zach says Volvo T6, right? Well, the T6 now, yeah, is a 4-cylinder. Don't get confused that it's a 6. It's a 4-cylinder with the turbo and the supercharger. Yes, it's the dual. The T5, I think, is just turbo, I believe. So okay, well, let's let's get back to good old V8s. And last week during the Chicago Auto Show talk, we talked about GM and Ford's new V8s on their heavy duty pickups. And there wasn't a lot of info yet on GMs. They did give us the power, which is going to be 400 horsepower. But this week we learned that it's not going to have active fuel management or auto start stop. And that means, excuse me, no 4-cylinder mode or any cylinder cutoff, and no auto start stop, which I don't mind that at all. But I think they're doing it because these heavy duty pickups really don't need to be EPA certified for fuel economy, so they don't care about that. Now the article saying it's for reliability. I could see that, but I think they've been making them for so long now, many generations, that I think they're gonna be reliable at this point. I mean, they should have worked out all the kinks about that. So it's 400 horsepower and 464 pound-feet of torque, and it will run on 87 octane fuel. Now, the thing that's interesting is they're still using the direct injection of the new LT family engines. So, they're going to be high compression, just like the regular LTs, but they're purely taking off those fuel economy savers. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? It makes it easier to mod and stuff like that, but as far as them getting rid of that, maybe they just didn't see it kicking in the 4-cylinder modes, since it's obviously not very aerodynamic, and especially if you're going to be pulling a trailer a lot of the times and hauling it, it's probably not going to kick in very much, the 4-cylinder mode. So I guess I can understand that. Maybe they're trying to save cost, but yeah, I guess when you don't have to worry about EPA numbers, they're not going to add that technology in, because it probably will only save you maybe 1 mile per gallon on the highway, something like that. So And then the next one is Ford's. So we have the Ford 7.3 liter V8, brand new. Again, we talked about last week. Now, this one is interesting because Ford totally switched to a pushrod design compared to their overhead cam design for years. I mean, it's probably been 20 years since the last cam and block pushrod engine has that Ford made. So there was this article on Road and Track. They asked, Ford engineers, why did they go to this pushrod design for totally new design? I mean, that they had a design basically from the ground up. Autonaut says these engines are under load all the time. No chance for fuel management or cylinder deactivation to benefit. Yep. Yeah, that's what I was just got done saying. So yeah, I agree with you there. The start stop, I mean, yeah, how much city driving you gonna do in a heavy duty truck? So I can understand that. But anyway, back to the Ford. So why did Ford go with this pushrod large displacement engine? And what they found is, and it makes sense, you don't have to rev a large displacement pushrod V8 as high to get the power out of it and to get the torque out of it, what I should say. And that's why we love our Corvettes. That's why we love our Camaros with the pushrod small block, because of the torque. It has wonderful off the line torque, and it gets great fuel economy. Like I said, when I had my cross country trip, I was getting 30 miles per gallon going 85 on a straight road. And it can just loaf around at 1500 RPM and still have enough power. So basically, that's what they're saying here. You don't have to rev it, which means even while you're pulling a heavy load, it's using less fuel, and that's why they went with that pushrod design. They're also saying because it's simpler, more reliable, less parts. We all know that, and it's also more compact. And again, we all know that from Corvette. That's exactly why it fits under the low hood of a Corvette. So pretty interesting that they admitted that and did switch their design, but to more of an old school design. Years and years of Ford fans making fun of GM for sticking with the old pushrod design, but yeah, it has its benefits. That's why GM still uses it. So Autonaut says country boys ain't stopping and starting and stopping. Yeah. And he says torque, baby. Buy a car for horsepower, drive it with torque. Right. Yeah, and that's especially if you're not tracking your vehicle, if you're driving it around town, if you're, that you're not revving, you're not having that engine at red line. On the track, you can definitely be at red line, and that's where those high RPM power you can get some benefit out of it. But even I know, like, Autonaut has a GTO. He always says, I don't, on the racetrack, I don't even, I keep it low revs too. It has plenty of torque to come out of the corners. You don't even need to rev it still, which is true, and it's less wear and tear, and it's fuel savings. And you actually have to look at fuel economy on the track. You could go through a tank if you're revving 6,000 RPM the whole time. You'll go through a tank in one track session. So that is actually a concern. especially with these longer tracks with the hills and everything else. Pit race has a lot of hills, and you know, it'll burn up fuel if you're at red line that whole time. So, but anyway, I thought it was pretty neat to see all these engine stories this week. I hope, you know, you guys find that interesting. I'm a mechanical engineer. I do enjoy learning and finding out about all these engines. And again, this could be the heyday, the last generation of gasoline engines that we have. So we got to enjoy them. We got to learn about them, and you know, in the future we'll be remembering them. And it is very interesting to me again that Ford went back to an more traditional design. But I think it's great. I think they learned that, you know, all these years of history, they learn, you know, what works where, and they won't put that in a Mustang, I guarantee you, because it is going to be low end power. It's going to be too heavy. It's an iron block, and I think they know what they want from Mustang, and that is more of a high revving engine there. So, but anyway, I don't know if anybody else has any comments, but we'll probably end this tonight. We're almost at a half hour, so those are the ones I wanted to talk about. But definitely comment below if you want to talk about more. And of course, you know, there's a whole history of great powertrains, and there was some mentioned earlier that they don't make anymore. And again, they're not going to make these forever, and so now's the time to enjoy them. But all right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys have a great V-Day if you celebrate it, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.